From Devin Booker whining about the opposition's mascot, to Draymond Green arguing with refs like a seasoned lawyer, these are NBA stars who don't stop complaining. Devin Booker's built a reputation as a complainer extraordinaire. I mean, if losing the NBA Finals wasn't enough because he was too busy drawing a foul, instead of focusing on making a clutch shot, Booker once complained that the Toronto Raptors mascot was distracting him. I mean, are you serious? Of all the excuses a player could make for a lousy performance, that one, folks, takes the cake. What makes Booker's mascot complaint even more ridiculous is that it happened during the COVID days when there were no fans in the arena, so opportunities for distractions were at an all-time historic low. However, the Suns superstar was adamant that the mascot was trying to get him off his game when he took to the free throw line. Eventually, in what would have been a very boo-worthy decision from the referee, the mascot was asked to move. Can somebody please get Devin a warm bottle of formula and a soother, please? To be fair to Booker, though, he's certainly not the only elite basketballer who needs his Pampers changed from time to time. Slovenian superstar Luka Doncic has become disgruntled while teething as well. As great a player as Luka is, like an angry mother of five standing in line at the DMV, he's got serious problems when it comes to complaining. Fortunately, the first step in dealing with any problem is admitting that you have one in the first place, and it's gotten to the point where even Luka himself has accepted the fact that he protests way too much during the games. You've got to respect that. At one point, even Jason Kidd, his coach with the Mavericks, told reporters that the Slovenian complains way too much. Like, dude, you're worth 25 mil and you're 24 years old, so just sit back, relax, smile, say woosa a few times, and you'll be good to go. But where does all of this complaining come from? Well, it's simple, really. Luka's complaining is very much in line with his winning mentality. He's a perfectionist in every sense of the word, but sometimes you have to accept the decision that has already been made because you risk being ejected from games. It's a lesson that some players have to learn the hard way. Case in point, Russell Westbrook. Russell had to learn the consequences of complaining the hard way. He may have toned things down now, but Russ has always been an outspoken superstar, known for his aggressive nature on the court, whether it be the way he plays or the way he talks to the opposition or the referees. Westbrook's found himself in hot water on many occasions. He's up there for most technical fouls received in NBA history, even getting ejected on a few occasions. However, he's not someone who will shy away from giving the referee a piece of his mind. And all I know is the referees probably don't look forward to officiating games when Westbrook is playing. The refs know it's going to be a tough night for them because it's no secret Westbrook makes it hard for the referees. Imagine how difficult it would have been to officiate the Lakers earlier this season, considering they had both Westbrook and Patrick Beverley on their roster. Pat Bev loves getting into the opposition's heads. Take, for instance, the too small celebration against LeBron recently. Pat has a big mouth, knows it, and doesn't care. He always has something to say about the decisions the refs make. But this season, he took things to a whole other level. When he was still teammates with LeBron earlier in the season, the Lakers suffered a defeat at the hands of the Boston Celtics, and it was a hard result to take for the Los Angeles side because they believe LeBron had been fouled. While the King himself has earned a spot on our list too, it's Bev's antics that get him here first. Refusing to accept the ref's decision, Pat rushed to the cameraman and got the video of the incident on camera and brought it to the referee out of protest. Fans, including myself, were shocked because no one had ever seen that before. Ultimately, the referee refused to listen to Pat. The decision wasn't overturned, but it didn't stop Bev from throwing a fit like a kid at Toys R Us. Speaking of throwing fits, some players are so prone to complaining they forget the game's still going on. Ladies and gents, James Harden. Back in his Houston days, Harden loved to make a fuss when the ref's decisions didn't go his way. It suited his style of play, drawing and ones on a consistent basis. But whenever he wouldn't get a call, Harden would complain to the refs rather than help his team out on the defensive end. Things got so bad that an emergency team meeting was called, and the head coach got sacked a few games later because of a horrid start to the season. The decision was made by the franchise in order to mask the fact that Harden lagged behind on defense and contributed to the Rockets' losses. This laziness and complaining actually cost Harden big time. No wonder he's never won a ring, right? Speaking of never winning the ring, the same can be said for Chris Paul as well. The point guard has one of the highest b-ball IQs in the league, but his incessant complaining to referees has gotten so bad that fans of opposing teams call him a snitch. Of course, it's great if he's on your team, but it's terrible when he's learned the entire rulebook by heart apart and points out discrepancies throughout the game to the referees. I'm sure the refs find him annoying, and it's not a great look for Paul when he's constantly rambling on in the refs' ears about some violation. Paul's not a player to ignore anything, especially if it's costing his team. And now younger players are starting to pick up the habit. Case in point, Dillon Brooks. Dillon's following in Chris Paul's footsteps. Mostly known for his controversial personality, Dillon's hated by the majority of the NBA, and many of his antics are downright disrespectful and unnecessary, like the time he intentionally shoved a cameraman during a game. And Dillon's not afraid to get technicals. In fact, he recorded the most technicals this season than any other NBA player. Not only did he beat out Draymond Green for the notorious record, but he even called the refereeing team a circus for some of their decisions on the Christmas Day game. And while I agree that the officiating in that game was horrendous, it wasn't the right way to go about things. But if you thought Brooks' whining and rattle shaking like a toddler in a car seat was bad, no player is often in more need of a timeout than LeBron James. Few people make a fuss about decisions not going their way more than King James, and he's absolutely earned his place on our list. For many observers, the GOAT often struggles to accept decisions not going in his favor. This season, during the loss that I mentioned earlier with Pat Bev, LeBron hilariously punched the floor in disbelief, behaving like a child at Chuck E. Cheese. Even though fans knew it was a foul, they criticized King James for his actions. You know it was a foul, I know it was a foul, and we all saw Jason Tatum with his hand around LeBron's wrist. But come on, the decision's been made. Accept it, move on, and try to win the game in overtime. Many times in his career, LeBron's teams have given up easy points on the other end, while he's busy complaining to the ref about a non-call. Is that acceptable? Probably not. But then again, he's often the reason the franchise wins games. One person who might have the King beat for the Complainer of the Year award, though, is Draymond Green. Green and LeBron have a lot in common. They both believe James is the GOAT. They both won 4 NBA championships, and both of them complain way too much. Green's known for his vocal leadership on the court for the Golden State, and there's not a single decision that you can get him to agree with, especially if it's going against the Warriors. You definitely need such players on your side to become serial winners, which is what the Warriors managed to do during their most successful era, but it can get too much at times. No wonder Green ranks really high on the all-time list for most technicals and ejections. By the time he retires, he'll have given Rasheed Wallace a run for his money too. Hopefully, Draymond can tone things down a bit though, because it has cost his team a lot at times, and it doesn't always sit well with Steve Kerr, who's usually pulling his hair out because Draymond's too busy arguing with the refs like some lawyer, rather than tracking back and defending. So there you have it. From Draymond Green arguing with refs like a seasoned lawyer to Devin Booker whining about the opposition's mascot. Those were NBA stars who don't stop complaining.